Hey, welcome back. What is the one thing the millennials and Gen Z will never get to experience that Gen Xers had? And it was seriously relevant only to the Gen X generation as kids. No other generation as kids got to experience this like we did. There might be older millennials that had a little slight experience at the end before things shut down, but nobody will ever understand like we did the video store going experience, the advent, invention, and the mass release of home movies, the creation of VHS and VHS players, and the video store where you could rent. None of them will know what it meant to come home on a Friday after school, wait for your parents to get home, and you've been begging them all week to go to the video store. There's a movie come out you wanted to see, and you didn't get to go to the drive-in. More people went to the drive-in then than they did go to the theater because the drive-ins were cheaper because you paid for the car, not for the people. You would squeeze as many in as you could. You'd take your own food, your own snacks. But when they came up with the home video and the home movies, and you could now rent a movie and watch it at home, it meant no longer having to take that trip from the car all the way to the concession booth, into the bathroom, at the drive-in, miss a bunch of movie, and walk all the way back and get lost trying to find your car. So what did Fridays entail? Well, they were anticipation, sitting at home, waiting, parents come home, mom made supper, you sit down, you eat, and you wanted to go to the video store before all the best movies were taken, all the new movies that you didn't get to see because back then there was no streaming and there wasn't the whole whack of cable channels. So for you younger people, we watched it in theater or at the drive-in, and then you would have to wait sometimes a year or two before it would get released on a late night movie on a Friday or Saturday, and they would play one. Where I was, they would do a Friday night movie, and then after that, it would be midnight on Friday and midnight on Saturday. They would do late night, midnight movies. And that was the only time they were on TV. Why was home video and home movies and renting so special, you younger people might say? Well, you got to do it in your own home. It was new, it was fancy, and it was the best way for you to keep up on the shows and movies you wanted to see, so you and your friends all saw the same movies. You see, because there was nothing worse when we were kids than a movie coming out on the weekend, and then you go into school on Monday, and half the kids in school got to go to the drive-in and you didn't. So then you're waiting for the next weekend. Hopefully you got to go. At the time some of us got to go, the movie had been out long enough that nobody wanted to talk about it no more. When we were done watching it, we couldn't talk about it. Now, when it comes to the home video thing and the invention and the mass release of home video and VHS players, we didn't buy movies to keep at home because the average price of a movie back then was $35 if you wanted to buy it for home use. Video stores paid anywhere from $100 to $200 a tape because they were paying for the right to rent it and make money off of it. So VHS tapes were not cheap. Now, we would pay $35 ourselves. That was back then. It's like paying $75, $78 now for a VHS tape. Why did we rent VHS players, you might ask, instead of just renting the movie and watching it at home? Because the standard VCR back then, video cassette recorder, was about $500. For a lot of people, that was 2 weeks to a month's salary. Now, being it was the era released the VHS tape, I came across 5 little interesting facts about VHS tape and what it was. And one of them was the first film ever released on VHS was a South Korean movie called The Young Teacher, and it came out the same year that VHS and VCRs came out to the public, which was 1976. And the first American films released on VHS were The Sound of Music, Patton, and the MASH TV show. The movie Titanic has the distinct record of being the first movie ever released on home video the same day it was released in theater. Now, it was the first movie ever released simultaneously on home video and in the theaters, so you could buy it and watch it at home the same night. And for those of you who are too young to understand with a big movie back then, they came in 2 cassettes, sometimes more. and you would have to switch the tape out as you went along to continue watching. Don't get it wrong, there were a lot of movies released on DVD and Blu-ray after VHS was gone, but the last official big movie release on VHS was Viggo Mortensen's A History of Violence. And now, one more thing for those of you that have VHS tapes out there hidden in the closet, and a lot of us Gen Xers do. I have some hidden away. Some of them are worth a lot of money right now. They vary in range. A lot of them now are still worth, you get about $40 or $50. There's a particular Frankenstein movie, it's a cult classic, that is worth $1,000 if you can find it. And that would be easy. Some collector would pick it up. Now, it's also said that a diamond cassette tape of Beauty and the Beast is worth upwards about $16,000. But there's no record anywhere of anyone actually purchasing that for that price. So you can take that as you wish with a grain of salt. I think that's just, Disney putting that out there, just trying to tout that, of course, their stuff's more expensive than everyone else's when, well, we've seen what's happened lately. Now, anyway, before I go off on that tangent, the great part about Friday nights and the movie-going experience was getting to go out, trying to beat everybody else to the new release tapes that were still on the shelf. Getting to pick your snacks. It was a big event. Going to the movies, it was a big event. That was the family's entertainment budget for the week. We'd rent some tapes, rent a VCR. If you only had, a lot of people only had like a 21-inch TV or a 25-inch TV. Sometimes they would have a 30-inch TV you could rent. So you have a big TV. And I know to younger kids today, that doesn't sound like much. I mean, like right now, even in my own living room, I have a 75-inch TV. I also have projection theater screen and everything else for 150-inch. But then, when we were kids, that was huge. You would sit as close as you could to it on the floor with your snacks and your pillow, and you'd lay back, and it would almost be like being in the theater to you, having a 30-inch TV. Now, that's all I'm going to say about that. But the Friday night and the movies and the going, and it was fun. We enjoyed it. We'd have all our friends over. It was a big deal going to the video store on Friday night. I don't think you can ever capture that appeal or make anything quite like that again. Sitting at home with the Netflix, it's not the same. Most people sit around and spend half their night trying to decide what the hell they're going to watch. I know when Netflix first came around and they had that whole Ask Jeeves thing, and you would like ask 7 questions or whatever, answer several questions, and it would just recommend a random movie. It didn't matter what it was. I used to watch it because that was the only way sometimes to make a decision back then. Now, don't even have it. I've canceled every streaming thing there is. I don't have cable. I don't have TV. But what I do have is my own hard drive server collection with hundreds of movies and TV shows and everything else. So I get to watch whatever I want when I want anyhow. The family seems to like it. So keep it in mind. Watch some of that stuff. Check out the old movies. There was great stuff. In fact, one of my favorite things to do back then was to pick out cheesy movies, especially once I became a teenager and in my early 20s. Going and picking the cheesy movies. That's for another video. So this is Drac. Say goodbye for now. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.